a lot of mortgage brokers, they're like the David and Goliath, right? You've got banks that are like Citibank and Bank of America and these big major, big banks. They're out there marketing like crazy on news and and everywhere you see, on billboards and online. But how does a mortgage broker differentiate themselves and stand out, when they're just a small, few people versus, the marketing budget of like millions of dollars like a big bank?
It's a wonderful question, but to answer it simply in a minute or two would be a disservice to the profundity of the answer, but I'll give you a couple of filaments in there. The first thing is there's a misnomer. Big is intimidating, complex, convoluted, impersonal. It's sterile. There's a concept in marketing called the Aikido School of Marketing. And if you don't know what Aikido is, or if your viewers don't, it's basically a martial arts category that uses the power of the enemy against the enemy. So if you start saying, the negative doesn't have to be negative, it can be a positive.
Interesting.
For example, if you say, look, you have a lot of options out there, but have you ever tried to even get a human being on a bank phone? Have you ever sat down and tried to start the process of any kind of a financial, even opening an account, lending them money as opposed to borrowing? And you start saying, it's doable. Yeah. They do it, but they will put you through such arduous, and they're not going to give you a great rate. That's not what they're not in business to give you a great deal. They're in business to make the maximum amount of profit they can on you while you smile. And I'm not knocking it, just a clinical statement. I, on the other hand, I'm going to basically give you a market rate, but I'm going to care. I'm going to make it as easy as you can. I'm going to make it as quick as you can. I'm not going to treat you like you're basically a piece of meat, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Give them a better service.
Yeah, and you show them reasons why. And then you prove it. You have to prove it. If you just make a declaratory statement to somebody and you can't provide some kind of a reference example, but one of the greatest overlooked powerful tools in the world is the use of metaphors, similes, analogies. We talked earlier about religion, and all religions, doesn't matter, Christian, Jewish, Mideastern, they all make their point by parables. And if people don't use analogies to say, I am to this what blank is to that, so that people can immediately see your advantage. And you should be the one to educate people. You should be the one to guide people. I believe everyone should function as the most trusted advisor in someone's life in the category, irrespective of whether they do business right now with you or not, although they will if you take that role, because you'll stand out so strongly, and you should be the only viable solution they see because of what you do and how you do it and the things you're able to resonate, represent, and convey.
That's good. And that goes kind of back to what you might have been saying earlier about, falling in love with your client or showing you care. There's like a big care, if you show that caring side, then all that other stuff is going to come easy.
Yeah, well, it's why, there's a overlapping universal three words that transcend almost everything in our life. The reason why. Why should I, first of all, do business with you? Why do you, not just as an individual, but whomever you represent, why should I trust you? Why should I favor you over? And there's always options. Option one is alternative providers. Option two is doing nothing. And so, or option three, it depends on the deal. If it's an investment property, getting, private investors. So why should I choose your option and the option that has you at the helm? And if you can't answer that, you should go back to the drawing board. There's very powerful ways.
That's a good point.
I can take any of these subjects, by the way, and I'll be happy to, John, if you want to, at a later date, do a whole, 20 or 30 minutes on any one of them, because they're worth it. But you have to, as far as preemptive positioning, preeminent positioning, that's much above differentiation.
Sure.
It's elevating yourself to being the most significant and the ultimate provider in the eyes of the target audience you're after. And you don't just wish for it, and you don't just go out there, you know, like a drunken sailor and promiscuously knock on doors and say, "Hi, I'm Jay." You very masterfully and strategically construct your positioning, your preemptive advantage, your persona, your ability to establish credibility. This is going to sound funny to you. I'm getting not on ADD, but there's all kinds of soft elements that your audience should know about because it elevates your viability and success probability. One is trust building. Everybody thinks they're trustworthy, but Stephen M. R. Covey, who's a colleague of mine, is the preeminent expert in the field of business trust building. He's reduced it down to 13 characteristics that if you can manifest those, you will triple your success rate.
Wow!
You will triple the rapidity or the time sequence. So you'll bring it down. You'll triple your number of referrals. You'll triple, but most people don't even know what they are, and they think they're automatically trustworthy. But if they were the most trustworthy person, then everyone would automatically be referring to them.
Right.
All they'd have to sit is answer the phone and say, you know, "I'll either be out or come on in."
Right.
That's not the case, though, is it?
No.
There's research in things like fascination. Believe it or not, there are scientific elements to the concept of fascination that prove that you can multiply your impact or you can diminish it by orders of magnitude, by 300, 400, 500%. I could, if I had time, drop on you 25 what I call advantage activators that automatically give you superior probability against the majority of people you'd compete against in that category.
Wow.
I could show you that if you don't understand the rules of relevance, that you are at a disadvantage because everything in business and life is flowing from a font of whether you're relevant or not. Things you say or don't say, things you do or don't do. You know,
well,
how
it
you
turns on the attention, right? It turns it off or on. So if someone's, you know, listening to you, they may not be listening. They might just be acting like they're listening. But as soon as you've engaged with them in a way that's trustworthy and you've turned on their attention from whatever it might be, whether it's getting their attention somehow with a word that you've said or the way that you've acted or the way that you presented yourself. I mean, is that a little bit, am I on the right track? Or?